Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to Storytime. My name is Jake, and today we are going to be looking at the subreddit r/prorevenge, where people tell us their best stories on how they got revenge on someone or something they didn't like. If you're new around here, please do hit subscribe so that you never miss out on another video, and also there's a poll in the top right of your screen, and if you can vote on that, that'd be amazing. But for now, let's sit back, relax, and enjoy some pro-revenge. My manager was an awful person to me, but I got her fired in an embarrassing fashion. Years ago, shortly after I graduated high school, I got a new job to support myself during college. The new gig was in a pet store, and I was working in the department that sold the fish, aquariums, reptiles, and birds, etc, etc. The store manager was an awesome guy who I will call Kurt. Kurt was an old school guy. He went to work, worked hard, and went home. That's all he expected out of you as well. My immediate manager over my department was this large, snaggletooth witch of a woman. I'll call her Stephanie. We got off to a bad start because she quickly found out that I knew more about reptiles than her. She preferred the fish, whereas I had kept snakes for the past 4 to 5 years. Her ego couldn't handle a fresh employee not needing her guidance. From then on, she was terrible to me. She singled me out to clean the goldfish tanks and had the other employees cover sales every day I worked. She would say rude things to me such as, "You are the weak link in my team. You are the reason I'm having problems in this department." Fast forward about a year. My hours had been cut by about 25%. I asked the store manager what the deal was, and he told me that our department had lost too much money between lack of sales and broken merchandise, etc. This puzzled me, but I didn't think too much of it because everybody's hours were cut. Simultaneously, myself and a few co-workers had noticed something strange. Stephanie had recently taken much more interest in the customers. She insisted on helping certain customers and sending us to do busy work while they were there. A customer came in one evening and was talking to us about how nice Stephanie is. Turns out, Stephanie was breeding mice and selling them to customers outside of the store. We found out she was breeding all of her animals, her dogs, turtles, mice, and selling them to customers she met through our store. Not only was this taking business from us, our store had a couple corporate policies. We did not feed nor sell mice as live food for snakes, and we donated a lot of time and money to shelters, and we condemned breeding dogs and cats for sales. Stephanie was making money by selling animals to the customers, all while her department had hours cut for all of its employees. It didn't quite make sense how this was costing us so much money until one evening I thought I had figured it out. Stephanie was an otherwise lazy woman, but when one of her customers came in, she was by their side the whole time. I watched closely as she followed a customer around, helping them pick out a cart full of expensive aquarium decorations and terrarium supplies like lights and bulbs. I followed and wrote down every item she grabbed. I wanted to see where this went. She directed the customer to a register and then went to check them out. She's lazy and would never do this for any other customer. I noted the time and went back to work. I later spoke to other cashiers about Stephanie checking customers out, and they said that she only ever rang up certain customers, and she acted weird when they did it. They suspected she was abusing coupons for them or applying hefty discounts. I got my co-workers to corroborate my story about the under-the-table animal sales and suspicious behaviour, and I went to talk to Kurt. I handed him a paper with about 20 UPCs and the time written on it, and I said, "I think if you look up a transaction from the register 2 at this time last night, you will find a large discount applied to it. These are the items I would expect you to find on that transaction." He was a bit puzzled, and I explained everything to him. I told him I didn't want to make any accusations before because I wasn't sure, but after seeing her in action, I was pretty sure something was going on. He thanked me and assured me he would look into it. A couple weeks later, I was at work and I noticed Kurt was standing near the door watching closely. It just so happens Stephanie was coming in for her shift right about that time. The second she walked through the door, he called her over to his office. Apparently, waiting in his office was a regional manager from corporate. He looked at the list I gave him and looked up the transactions from the night before. He found one at the exact time I wrote, but it only had about half the items I listed. But every item that was on the receipt was on the list I gave him. This prompted him to watch her for a few weeks, and in that time frame, they found her to be taking her customers around shopping, personally taking them up to the register and scanning every other item and putting the expensive stuff into the cart without ringing it up. In that time span, she had given away over $1,500 in merchandise, and he looked back at the logs we keep for broken merchandise that is written off and found an excessive amount of aquarium supplies and decorations that were signed off by her. It was something like 1,000% more written off broken merchandise than was found at the same time last quarter. All in all, she was charged with stealing/defrauding the store in over $3,500 in merchandise, and it just so happened that Kurt had already arranged for the police to meet them after firing her to escort her out. I don't know if she went to jail, but I did watch her get walked out by police with about 20 employees staring. I wish I could have said something, but I had to settle for her making eye contact with me as she walked out, to which I gave her a quick wink. If I've learned anything important from these pro-revenge stories, it's that I've got to document everything and establish a paper trail, otherwise I won't be able to get a pro-revenge on people. Downstairs neighbours wouldn't turn down music, nuked them from orbit. I moved out on my own in 2013 and moved into an old house converted into a 2-floor apartment directly across from my future in-laws. The downstairs neighbours were loud, blaring music at all hours. Yes, all of the hours. Wouldn't cut the grass or take out the trash on our shared schedule. Crappy neighbours, but never bothered me directly. The guy was pretty chill when sober and would turn down the music a little when I texted him. He was okay until his girlfriend moved in. Now, add shouting matches to the mix, and all of a sudden, my request to turn down the music makes him turn it up. I can barely walk on my super thin floor without her banging on the ceiling with a broom. I was okay since I am a heavy sleeper and could sleep through anything. My wife moved in, and I quickly found out that she is quite the opposite. Fan on, turned at a certain angle in the doorway of the bathroom. Door closed halfway. Blackout curtains with them taped to the wall so zero light comes through. Zero sounds other than the fan. You get the idea. I told her that we can't expect them to remain silent when she's ready for bed. We need to be reasonable. But the wall rattling music needs to stop during the night. She hated it during the day, but I told her there's nothing we can do then, so she would have to go to her parents' house a lot during the day. I talked to the neighbor guy. He said, "Yeah man, that's cool." But it turns out the girlfriend wasn't having it, and his attitude then changed to, "Yeah, well, it's our house, so you can go screw yourself if you think you can tell us what to do, and you can move out if you don't like it." Something definitely had to change once she was pregnant, and then the baby came. So I did the only thing I could. I fought fire with fire, and maliciously complied with the law to the T. I could only report them for noise after 11 PM. I now forget the morning hour when the noise could start, but I believe it was 9 AM. My dad has these huge old concert speakers in his garage. Professional grade, black leather bound, 5 feet tall and 3 feet wide, and a pretty nice vintage stereo/amp. He has 2, but my apartment was so small I sadly only had room for 1. We replaced our coffee table with this thing, laid face down onto our thin office carpet. Tired of his crap tunes, I tested this Geneva Convention breaking device when they weren't home. Holy cow! I had to take everything down from tables, counters and shelves because they would shake off. I prepared audio files to feed the stereo. I was giddy like a kid with a new Christmas toy. I turned it on when I left for work and got my wife up to send her to her parents. I came home from work and hung out at her parents until it was close to bedtime. They resisted for 3 days. On day 2, I found a pile of manure on my doorstep, but it didn't faze me. I cycled between sine, saw, square waves in clashing chords, marching music, Washington Post march on loop, preaching clips. They weren't just atheist, but outspoken anti-Christian, so it was a must. The most stupid songs you could think of, Captain Planet theme song, chicken dance, etc. This poor old house rattled in ways I didn't think possible. The vibrations from the sine wave would make your vision blur. I eventually got a text from him that read, "Sorry man, you can stop now." I did not. He needed a few more days to let it sink in. Plus, I had so much fun putting it together. They complained to the police and the landlord. There was nothing they could do since I wasn't doing anything wrong. I didn't even hear music during the time of peace to follow. It was so quiet. They would build up their courage and try again every few weeks when I wasn't home, but my wife was. I then showed her how to tame the beast, so she could let it loose while I was away. I had to give them a spanking every now and then, but they learned. They were so happy when we moved out. This dude's the upstairs neighbour, he has the high ground, how could they even compete? Hey everyone, I hope you all had a really good day and that you enjoyed that video. If you want to check out some other stories, then click on screen right now or check out the playlist down below. If you enjoyed that video, then please do leave a like and subscribe if you aren't already, but thank you so much for watching and I will see you very soon.